Welcome back, everyone, to Those Film Nerds. We're Sam and I, obviously, currently at our Those Film Nerds headquarters, obviously. It's very large, super spacious. We're both in our separate offices, obviously. We're social distancing. Do not worry. We're in our own offices. But Sam, you have an awfully large office. How is it over there? How's the temperature?
Temperature is okay. Could be a little cooler. But, today, I should say today was actually quite fall-like outside. It was
actually, you're right.
I read somewhere in the news that it hit like 126 degrees in Baghdad this week.
Whew.
And that was like a world record, like highest recorded temperature ever on Earth.
That's in Fahrenheit.
That's
right?
in Fahrenheit. That's in Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Yeah, people, the water is not boiling.
No. But no, we should say our headquarters is very large. We have multiple gyms and workout areas and lots of interns just wandering around. I mean,
this is what you get. This is what you get with a podcast, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't even know what the interns do. They just walk around.
They just walk around. We still do everything. We just hire them to look like they're doing stuff. They all have to carry folders, though, obviously.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. But anyway, Sam, what movie maybe are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about, is it a movie?
I don't know.
We're talking about a recorded performance of Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Boom. I know I was very excited to talk about this with you. I wasn't sure if you were going to see it, to be honest. As soon as I saw that you saw it, I texted you immediately. This was a little while ago, like maybe 2 weeks, and I was like, we have to do an episode or something. So this is a little bit in the works, but we're doing it finally.
Yeah, we kind of debated. It's not like one of us had one side or the other, but we kind of debated as to whether or not this was a film.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I didn't rate it as a film.
And I have not included it in my 2020 list. If I were to, it would be number one, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
the thing about it is.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was
getting ahead of myself.
I was just saying we'll be talking about Hamilton later. Do not fret, folks.
Do not fret.
But to start, we're gonna talk just one bit of movie news, and then we're gonna go into the 6 degrees of Senor Bacon. See if I can be successful.
Senor Bacon.
Yeah, Senor. No. But so one thing in movie news. Maybe there'll be discussion of this, but Pixar has announced their next film after Soul.
Oh,
so that's exciting. Sam, have you heard about this?
I have not. This is exciting.
All right. So it's coming out in, I think, summer 2021. I know it's 2021, but I'm pretty sure it's summer. And it is called Luka. Obviously, this is the biopic of Dallas Mavericks small forward Luka Doncic and how he was raised in no, I'm kidding. By the way, basketball's back. How awesome is that?
It's back like it never left.
Exactly. No, so I'll just read the description here for Luka real quick. Luca. So it says, set in a beautiful seaside town on the Italian Riviera, a young boy experiences an unforgettable summer filled with gelato, pasta, and endless scooter rides. Luca shares these adventures with his newfound best friend, but all the fun is threatened by a deeply held secret. He is a sea
Ooh.
monster from another world just below the water's surface. So what I'm thinking this
Okay.
is, and I'm not really thinking because I'm pretty sure I already know, is this will be kind of, so you've seen Call Me by Your Name. If I were to guess, this is very similar. It's a young kid who kind of probably is friends with another dude and then kind of falls in love with him, but with just like a Pixar twist that he's a sea monster, I suppose.
Whoa, hey. I I hesitate to say that he engages in a romantic relationship with a sea monster, but
No, but he doesn't know. No, Luca is the sea monster.
oh,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
hey, look, first of all, wasn't Call Me by Your Name directed by a guy named Luca? Which is it's weird that you would bring that up, but yeah,
I don't think so. Let me check though.
I thought it was.
Oh shoot, you're right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you say Call Me by Your Name of all. Wasn't there I forget the name of this movie, but there was a movie that came out probably when we were about 10 years old, I want to say. And it's about a guy or a kid who finds like a baby Loch Ness monster and like raises it as his own.
I haven't heard of this.
Oh, you would remember like seeing the trailer if you saw what it was. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Kid finds Loch Ness monster movie. It's one of these. The Water Horse. The Water Horse.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, I didn't see it, but I just remember I have this image in my head of the kid with
the trailer now.
Yeah, remember like the little baby Loch Ness monster in the bathtub?
Yeah.
Kind of terrifying.
I do, actually. That's actually funny that you say that.
Yeah, I just thought of that because I don't know. This seems very familiar.
But no, so are you just from your 2-second description of it, Sam? Does this excite you at all, or not really? How do you feel?
I just think it's gonna be one of those kind of typical. You can't be friends with him. He's a sea monster. He's a human. Like one of those kinds of stories, which is fine. You know, they serve their purpose, but they're not. I don't think it's anything new in terms of a story structure. You know what I mean?
We'll see. I mean,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
It. I mean, they might hold that reveal. I don't know.
What if they just hate each other?
Look, it's Pixar. I'm in. You know, I mean, there's not.
Yeah.
They're great storytellers. Like if I were to teach like a screenwriting class, I would just make people read Pixar scripts because they just understand story. Right. Even if like the movie, maybe like someone's not a fan of the movie, it's kind of hard to deny that they're typically good stories and well structured. So I'm not worried at all. I think this will be great. Yeah. New time director though, so that I don't know what that says, but this is the directorial debut of Enrico Casarosa. Cool last name. So he's all right in my book.
Where does it take place? Where does this movie take place?
Italy. So same as Call Me by Your Name.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's not Loch Ness monster. It's just sea monster.
No, it just says sea monster from another world, just below the water's surface.
Oh. Ooh.
So there we go. There's no cast announced, nothing like that. But yeah. So 2021.
How much would you love to be a voice actor on a Pixar movie?
If I've said this a couple of times, if I could work for, like Pixar would be one of my, whatever I would do, I would just want to work at Pixar just because it seems just so cool.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it'd be awesome to be a voice member of a Pixar movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that would really, I guess, it just seems like a great job. Like you go in there and it's like, and you record your voice for the movie like long before the movie comes out. It's like a year and a half in advance, you know.
Because most of the time you have to typically actually you record the voice before the animation even starts because
they got to make the lips match.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and sometimes, especially comedians who sometimes will be in, like Bill Hader or something, he's just going to do Bill Hader stuff and he'll just be funny. Yeah. And depending on what they're going to keep, they have to then, they would never want to reanimate. So.
Right.
But yeah, so I just want to share this one story about Pixar before we move on to the next segment. The story goes of when Pixar was working on their first movie, Toy Story, back in 1995. They were at a lunch meeting kind of discussing like, what are we going to do next? We have to decide what our next movie is going to be because, this is almost finished. And at one lunch meeting, they came up with the following movies. A Bug's Life. So, not as good, but, it's just was still relatively successful.
Yeah.
Came up with A Bug's Life, WALL-E, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo. And one sat down and had a 30-minute lunch. Came up with those 4 movies.
Could you imagine?
Ugh. If you put me in a room for 48 hours and like, all right, come up with some movies, I'd be like, we could do a spy movie, and then people would be like, okay, this guy's an idiot.
This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, oh God, WALL-E was so high level. It's really
WALL-E's just a good movie, period.
WALL-E it's just not a kid's movie in the sense of.
No, it's not a kid's movie.
I saw it in a theater, did not understand it, did not understand what's going on. WALL-E is so high level. One I remembered the other day, I guess, I don't know if, I think it was Pixar and Disney involved in this, but Bolt. Remember Bolt? That was an impressive movie.
Is that the dog one?
Yeah.
I hated that movie as a kid, I'll be honest.
Oh my God. I thought that movie was so impressive.
Maybe
I still think it's impressive.
Maybe I was just a stupid child.
You might have been. We were, how old were we?
What came out in 2008?
I was 7. I remember seeing it in the theater.
Interesting.
Strange.
Wait, what's a theater?
What's it? Oh yeah. That was the that's something really historical. I'm kind of dating myself.
Yeah.
I was dating myself. I was sitting in a movie theater. Remember those?
That's funny. All right, Sam, do you have a couple actors for me?
I do.
Garrett.
Let's do Christopher Plummer and Chloe Grace Moretz.
Gosh, I hate Chloe Grace Moretz.
I know.
Okay. Christopher Plummer, that's an interesting one because he's kind of...
There's a very obvious one to start with Christopher Plummer.
I would think I could start with Knives Out, I suppose. That cast is just very large.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I know, like, Chloe Grace Moretz is in, like, a movie with Denzel. I could go there, I suppose. Because Denzel's in a few movies, isn't he?
Yeah. He's in a few movies.
Yeah, is he in movies? I don't even know.
Well, no one's in movies anymore.
Okay, I already got it. All right, so Christopher Plummer in Knives Out with Ana de Armas. Ana de Armas.
Okay.
In Blade Runner 2049 with Ryan the Gauze Gosling.
Ryan the Gauze.
The Gauze in Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington, and then Denzel Washington in The Equalizer with Chloe Grace Moretz.
She's in The Equalizer?
Boom. Yeah, she plays a
Wow.
prostitute, dude, obviously.
I've never seen The Equalizer. I honestly have no interest.
Can the committee deliberate and confirm?
I'm confirming. I'm confirming.
Okay. Do I need to
I've
say
seen
the
all the other movies, so yep. She plays Terry the prostitute. Okay. Excellent.
Right,
Congratulations.
So just to say it again, so Chloe Grace Moretz in The Equalizer with Mr. Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans with Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is a young kid in that movie. He plays Sunshine, I'm pretty sure.
He plays Sunshine?
I think so, yeah.
Not.
Does he?
It says he plays Alan Bosley. Is that Sunshine's real name?
I think so.
Now I'm going to look this up.
Okay.
I haven't seen Remember the Titans in so long.
I know. So Remember the Titans with Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner 2049, whatever. I don't know what it is. With Ana de Armas. And then Ana de Armas in Knives Out with Christopher Plummer. Could I do it a different way?
He does not play Sunshine. I mean, you got it right, but...
Does he not play Sunshine?
No, Sunshine is a different guy.
Just take it away. I didn't know.
I mean, Ryan Gosling is in the movie, but he doesn't play Sunshine.
Who plays Sunshine?
Some no name. Where is he?
By the way, Ryan Gosling is like really low build in that movie, so good for me for knowing he was just in it. Actually, no, he's like 6 build. Never mind.
I honestly forgot he was on that movie. That's fascinating.
Oh, here we go. Kip
Pardue. Who?
He kind of looks like Ethan Hawke a little bit.
A little bit. He's got a little Ethan Hawke going. He's got a little, I don't know, like
Ethan Hawke.
Kind of.
I see.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke, blonde. Yeah. Yeah.
He's got like the same like facial hair.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone else who's just listening has no.
We went off the rails. Man.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But yeah, so there we go. I don't know what that makes me. I think we've done it like 4 times, so I'm 4 for 4.
You're basically undefeated, yeah.
Pretty much. You want me to give you 2 or no?
Yeah, give me 2. What the heck?
Okay. I'll go. What's the last movie you watched? Okay, we'll choose Sandler because you watched Funny People recently.
Yeah.
We'll choose Adam Sandler and John Malkovich.
Oh, that's gotta be. I mean, I always say that's gotta be pretty easy, but then it never is.
Let's see if I can do it.
You can do
Malkovich.
I'm gonna do.
Sandler's tough because he's in like every movie with just his buddies. So.
Right. So you got to find like serious role with Sandler where he kind of breaks out of that. And that would probably be
50 First Dates, yeah.
Well, you'd probably have to go the Meyerowitz Stories. Adam Sandler's in the Meyerowitz Stories with Ben Stiller.
Ooh, okay.
Ben Stiller is in. How many Ben Stiller movies have I seen? Ben Stiller is in Night at the Museum with what?
No, keep going. This is good. You say a good name here.
Oh. Ben Stiller, okay, is in Night at the Museum Part 2, Battle of the Smithsonian, with, oh, you could go with a lot of people. I was going to say Amy Adams, but you could go with a whole lot of people. You could go with, I'm going to say, oh, no. Okay, he's in there. He's in there with Owen Wilson, who plays the little
Wow.
cowboy.
Wow.
Owen Wilson.
Just having a great time making a movie and
He's making a movie, short little cowboy.
wow.
Owen Wilson is in he's in some Wes Anderson movie. He's in all Wes Anderson
He's
movies.
in all of them, yeah. He's his writing partner.
He's in is he going to be in the French Dispatch?
He is.
Is John Malkovich going to be in the French Dispatch?
No, he's not. Dude,
what?
Get to Burn After Reading, bro.
Burn? Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Who is he in Burn After Reading with?
Clooney, Pitt. All right, here. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna do it real quick.
You do it. I bet you can do it in like 3.
Who did I say? Who did I start with? Sandler.
Adam Sandler, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go Sandler in Anger Management with Jack Nicholson.
Oh.
Nicholson in The Departed with what's his face? Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt in Burn After Reading with John Malkovich.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
This is why I only ask Will these questions, people. This is why it's his game.
It's like it's tough. If you don't have it, then you don't have it. Like, you know?
Well, the other thing is you specifically designed this game around this talent that you had.
That also.
It was like something that you're like, you just do in your head, and then all of a sudden you're like,
I can do this pretty well.
I can do this pretty consistently.
Yeah. But no, let's should we talk some Hamilton?
Yeah, let's talk some Hamilton.
Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton.
The man, the myth.
So
never president.
I know you kind of have a specific train of thought on how you want to do this episode, so I'm gonna let you run with it to start. I'm gonna sit back and go get some food. So text me when you're ready. No, I'm kidding.
I like history as much as the next guy. So I mean, I'm interested in Hamilton as a man, as a historical figure where he fits into American history.
Absolutely.
But also I want to talk about the development of this thing, this taped play, I guess. So we're talking about basically a filmed musical.
Is this considered an opera because it's all music and no dialogue?
I would consider it a hip hop opera, yeah.
Okay.
Because whether or not you would you consider like lyrical hip hop? Would you consider that opera? I don't know.
I guess I just thought
because it's
opera with all music and no dialogue.
Right, but it's like talking, but it is talking in verse, like talking in poetry over a beat versus singing like the entire time. I don't know where it falls. I'm not much of a theater aficionado, but I would imagine
I'm not either. If someone is, email in.
we'd love to hear your opinions. We'd love to get in a giant fight over how to classify Hamilton. Like that would be very entertaining.
We'll call it a musical.
Sure. I mean the official name for it is Hamilton, an American musical. So I guess you could call it a musical, but
I think the people that named it would know. So there we go.
But yeah, typically a musical is dialogue with songs interspersed throughout. But yeah, this is not what this is. So I just kind of wanted to go through how this came about. So it really starts with this guy, Lin-Manuel Miranda. It says that while on vacation, this is from the Wikipedia page, by the way. I trust Wikipedia with my life. While on vacation from performing in his hit Broadway show In the Heights, Lin-Manuel Miranda read a copy of the 2004 biography Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. After finishing the first few chapters, Miranda came to envision the life of Hamilton as a musical and researched whether a stage musical of Hamilton's life had been created. All he found was that a play of Hamilton's story had once been done on Broadway in 1917, starring George Arliss as Alexander Hamilton. I think it's bizarre that there had been a musical or a play about him at all.
Yeah, he's such an odd
I guess we don't.
United States history.
Yeah, I mean, he's not he's there, but he's extremely, I guess, he's not talked about a lot. He's on the $10 bill, but
if you were to ask, if you were to say rank the founding fathers on level of importance, Hamilton would be in the 20s for me, is what I would have said before watching this.
Yeah.
After watching this, I would say 7 maybe, but before I just didn't know. No one talks about him. You're right.
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember 5 years ago when it was announced that Harriet Tubman would replace Alexander Hamilton on the $10 bill?
No, that was on the 20. Andrew Jackson.
No, it was on the 10. Now it's on the 20.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Because pretty much solely because of this play.
Gotcha.
Because people started seeing this play, and it, of course, it's been huge for from 2015 on. It was huge, and still is. And also, it's very interesting for us as a generational thing. You don't. The last time Broadway had a new kind of musical of this stature and success was probably Phantom of the Opera back in the 80s, and we as a generation haven't really had anything like that until Hamilton. It's so refreshing to see a new musical,
sure,
a new story that's become huge. So anyway, he started writing this musical, and he workshopped it for probably about 8 years, and then he began kind of a workshop, I guess, performance, kind of a rough sketch, and that began in July 2013. Of the original workshop cast, only 3 principal cast members played in the off-Broadway production, and that was Lin-Manuel Miranda himself, Daveed Diggs, who's fantastic, and Christopher Jackson. And then the rest of them eventually got replaced. And then off-Broadway started in Christopher Jackson, plays Washington. That's
okay.
Right.
That's what I thought.
But then off-Broadway started in 2015, so but that was obviously a huge success, basically ran through the spring, and then by later that year in July, it started on Broadway, which I don't know. Again, I don't know much about theater, but for a musical to only run a few months off of Broadway before it gets on Broadway is astonishing. And then the other crazy thing about it is it has this huge success on Broadway. It goes, it starts having previews at the CIBC Theater in Chicago, which is apparently a very important theater. And it has a run there after like 1,300 shows. So it was there for about 4 years. And meanwhile, it also went on tour, which is kind of crazy to think about. I think we both know people who went and saw it at some point. I know someone who went and saw it in the Twin Cities, where we're kind of centrally located. But yeah, that's crazy to think about an entire stage production with all those actors kind of moving together.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really think about that often. You don't see that very often. So.
No, you're right. It's interesting. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote the lyrics for Hamilton, who also plays Hamilton. It took him 10 years to write this, which is just insane. I mean, obviously he took breaks, but maybe he didn't write for a year or two. But like, it took him that long to write it, which is props to you, man. Like that's awesome. I cannot believe that. But it's so well written. And I think the thing that stuck out to me most was that it's well written in the point that like the lyrics are great and the music is awesome, but it also doesn't take liberties in the story either, which I don't really need. I don't think we should get into the story because it's like a historical story. Like if you want to know about it, go read like a 10-second or like a 5-minute thing on Wikipedia or whatever. But it doesn't take liberties in telling the story of Alexander Hamilton, which I just thought was incredible. Because I feel like sometimes, maybe I'm wrong, that it feels like some musicals don't have a super great story. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But this one, I felt like the story and plot was definitely there. Like I could follow along without being like, what is happening? I feel like they're just singing right now.
Yeah, right. And to your point about the, I guess, how long it took to write, I mean, I would imagine, I haven't looked at any numbers or anything, but I would imagine this, in terms of lyrical content, like number of words, is probably far above the typical musical. First of all, the musical is quite long. It's, nearly 3 hours. But it's hip hop, so it's inherently very lyrically dense.
Yes,
and you can cram so many lyrics and so many ideas into one little line in a couple of seconds. So, I mean, can you just imagine reading all of the, I guess, ideas that are expressed in this and how long that would take? So when I hear 10 years, it actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's not shocking.
When you start thinking about it.
I'm glad you said that about the lyrics. And I just kind of want to maybe transition into the performances a little bit. I was shocked by how well everyone did, in the manner that you're right. It is quick. It is dense. Like if you miss one word and you're just thrown off, then I feel like it'd be very obvious. Maybe some musicals where it's slower and, you're not always singing. Maybe you don't notice it as much. But in this, like, I feel like, and maybe it was just me, I didn't notice any mess ups, but I feel like if you missed a word or botched, mixed them up or whatever, like, I feel like the flow would just be completely off. But I didn't notice that at all. So props to all of the cast as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, every time you watch any good stage performance, you have to think like, oh man, can you imagine the nerves? You have to, you really think about.
And wouldn't
trying to get it right.
Wouldn't you just be sweating? They're like they have like 4 layers of clothes on.
Yeah.
Like they're all like, I would just be drenched.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they're moving around so much. That's the other thing is there's choreography in any musical, but
this is
very very active choreography, moving around a lot. And to be able to hold your breath like that, or to, I guess, hold your normal breathing pattern, I mean, that's so impressive. It's so impressive, and to remember everything. But we're gonna think, anyone who is not in the stage world is gonna think, how can you memorize all that? How can you do that? But
Yeah.
this one just seemed particularly impressive, just
Yeah.
because it's you're memorizing a flow. But I guess in some ways it might be easier, just because you know poetry and hip hop lyrics seem to be easier to remember because they flow like that. They have a rhythm, they have rhyme, that sort of thing. But still, man, it's kind of breathtaking.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about the songs, before we get into a specific song or cast members, I just want to say I saw this late at night. As soon as I finished, I went to bed because I had to wake up early the next morning. Got up early, went to work, and I listened to the entire soundtrack again. I downloaded the soundtrack, listened to the whole thing. So it was pretty like back-to-back activities other than sleeping was literally listening to the soundtrack or watching the musical and then listening to the soundtrack. That's how much I loved those songs. I was just like, these songs are amazing. I just want to listen to them again right now.
Yeah, yeah. What was let's talk about that. What was your favorite song out of them?
That's a good question. I would say I mean the first, like, Alexander Hamilton's great song.
Yeah.
I thought Daveed Diggs's "What I Miss" when he was Thomas Jefferson was great.
Yes.
And we'll talk about Daveed Diggs later because he's on another level in this.
Yeah.
I thought the King's "You'll Be Back" was very funny. I thought he was hilarious the whole time. I was like, this guy rocks.
Yeah.
I don't remember what song it was. It was the one where they're counting down the steps for a duel. I can't remember.
Oh,
Love that one.
Yep.
Was that 10 Duel Commandments? Okay, I'm looking at the thing now.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. Yeah.
Love that one. But yeah, those are some of my highlights. I like the cabinet like rap battles.
Yes. I was going to mention that the rap battle between Jefferson and Hamilton.
And there's a couple of them. I think there's two.
Yeah, there's a couple of them, but the first one, first of all, I'm a Thomas Jefferson nerd. I love Jefferson as an like an American historical figure. I think he's so interesting. But to see Jefferson portrayed by Daveed Diggs is kind of this like flamboyant kind of loose cannon kind of guy is actually kind of accurate. If you read a lot about Jefferson, like he kind of had a taste for the finer things in life, especially after he got back from being an ambassador of France.
Yeah.
So he kind of gets back and he has kind of like these French European tastes.
Yeah.
So when at the start of Act 2, where Jefferson comes down those stairs, and he's like,
because everyone else is kind of singing in hip hop, but when Jefferson comes in and he's singing kind of like old school, like not classical, but like a little bit, it's kind of funny.
Like a show tune kind of story.
Yeah, because he's been away for a while, obviously. So and then eventually, that character Jefferson Daveed Diggs kind of comes around to singing hip hop as well. Like he's like transitioning almost, which I thought was genius.
Yeah.
But what other songs do you want to mention?
The one, and this is it would kind of reoccurred throughout, but Aaron Burr, sir.
Oh,
whenever they're
great, yeah.
Yeah, when the way they finish each other's rhymes is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The dialogue is rap. So when you say something and someone responds, but they finish your rhyme, it's absolutely phenomenal. So it's like, my name is Aaron Burr, and then they go, "Sir, Aaron Burr," but it comes off as conversational, and it makes sense. There's not too many stretches for a rhyme, but it seems so improvised and so loose, but at the same time, it has to be down to the millisecond perfect.
Absolutely.
Rehearsed. So
I also want to say, which we didn't mention, I thought the Schuyler sisters, those three actresses were brilliant. I thought they were some of the best parts of it, and the song where they like did it twice from a different perspective.
Yes.
Where Hamilton marries one of the sisters, and then the other one's not like jealous, but like, I don't know how to describe it. If you've seen it, it's not like jealousy, but like she sings the same song from her perspective, and it has a different tone, and I thought that was awesome.
Right.
But I do want to talk about the cast here, and kind of a downside, or like a negative. I don't want to just praise this the entire time, but I thought Lin-Manuel Miranda, although like his writing genius, I thought he might have been the worst part singing wise. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, singing and probably acting wise, I would say.
I just felt like, and it wasn't really his fault. I would say he was good, but everyone else was fantastic. So it's just kind of like, not that he was even dragging people down. It was just maybe, I don't even want to say that he miscast, because he wrote it. He probably knew it better than anyone. So
right.
You have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we should mention that Lin-Manuel Miranda stopped playing Hamilton after Broadway in like 2016.
Sure.
So then when it went to Chicago, he was played by Miguel Cervantes. First U.S. tour was Michael Luwoye, who's actually of Nigerian descent.
Oh.
Which is interesting. Well, he's American. Okay, he's American. But yeah. And then Jamil Westman, Joseph Morales, and then Julian Thomas III. All people I haven't really heard of, but I'd be interested to see how they took on the character.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just think Miranda's performance was fine. Maybe a little stiff at certain points, but it's so difficult because again, the dialogue is in hip hop, and how you enunciate words and what words you emphasize. It's a different kind of acting, and it's one that I think both of us are more unfamiliar with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult for us to say where it's more impressive or where it's lacking. I mean, yeah, I mean, for what it was from my purview, I think it might have been a little subpar, but I mean, it wasn't distracting or anything. It wasn't like it dragged down the production as a whole. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. Again, I said he's good. Everyone else is just amazing. That it's tough to be like, yeah. I guess that's how I can describe it. Everyone else is so good that Lin-Manuel Miranda just feels a little bit lesser, which again, like you said, is fine. It's not like it made it bad or took me out of it or anything. I just like to say, I'm gonna. Who is your favorite part?
Right.
Who is your favorite part or favorite cast member?
I mean, like I said, I love Daveed Diggs as Jefferson, but I think Leslie Odom Jr. steals the show as Aaron Burr.
I would agree. I think I had most fun when Daveed Diggs was on screen.
You can.
Yeah, I think it's most fun when Daveed Diggs is on screen. He's just so energetic and entertaining. But I think Leslie Odom Jr. is probably better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just thought every time he was on screen, I was like, okay, what's this guy doing? Because I'm interested.
Right. I mean, You can see it from the very beginning when we first see Leslie Odom Jr. appear with Alexander Hamilton, like the song at the very first song.
Yeah.
And he sings it. You can see, like, especially with the camera in his face, you can see it in his eyes. You can just see this, like, this jealousy, this envy that's like boiling inside of him. Because the running theme is that he is in competition more or less with Alexander Hamilton. And ultimately, as we find out, he is the one who ends Hamilton's life. And I just thought to be able to sing, to be able to rap your way through this hatred, and to still get that point across to the audience, for the audience to still feel that emotion, and also to deliver an incredible performance from a musical level. I just thought that was so impressive. So for me, Leslie Odom Jr. kind of steals the show.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great. I want to get I want to talk about one more thing, then we can hit some closing thoughts. So obviously this musical shows like great lengths to how great of a person Alexander Hamilton was and how much he did for the United States as a country. How did you think they approached, or how well do you think they approached the negative sides of his life?
Again, it's hard because it's in a musical format.
I know.
You know, and the thing about musicals is that it romanticizes inherently. I mean, films do this a lot too, but inherently musicals make things a lot more romantic than they have to be. And by romantic, I don't mean like love romantic. I mean like nostalgic. Like even the sad songs in musicals tend to take an edge off things because they're a song, right? They can't be that bad, you know. So like, and in terms of Alexander Hamilton's personal life, I mean, the affair, which, side note, interestingly, is largely considered like the first real sex scandal in American history, in American politics, which is really interesting. But yeah, with that, I mean, it was kind of tread lightly upon. But again, it's not. The musical never claims to be about Alexander Hamilton as a whole man. It's about Alexander Hamilton as an American figure in American history. Just like you know, it's how we should remember him more or less. And does it skid over the affair and a lot of the negative aspects of his personal life? Yeah, it does. Probably too much, but you know. It wasn't a deal breaker for me.
Sure.
No, or were you kind of on the other side?
So I didn't actually know about the affair, so I was learning as the musical was going. So I guess I appreciated that I was there. Like, I'd rather you not leave out obviously an important part of his life.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or otherwise. So it worked for me on that level.
Sure.
I guess I hadn't even thought of it, but what you were saying, as maybe it glossed over it a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure, I could see that as well. So yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention briefly, quick,
yeah.
How did you feel about Daveed Diggs? How did you feel about the dual casting? So you had Daveed Diggs, playing Marquis de Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson, and then you had, oh god, I'm gonna butcher this.
I know who you're talking about. I know who
you know who I'm talking about. You know
yeah.
who I'm talking about. But let's put it.
So Daveed Diggs, I'm glad he played two parts, because if he wasn't in the second act, I would have been upset.
Right.
You could have obviously cast him as a role that would have been in the whole thing, and then gotten two other actors to play that one. But no, I thought it was fine. I mean, it was obvious that they were different characters, which is good. I don't want to be confused at all, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And also it was, I don't even know. I mean, obviously the same person. I don't even want to say like they look different, but they're in different costumes. Their hair is a little bit different. They're almost using a different voice, or they're singing a different voice. So it was so obvious that it's not the same character. It almost, not that it felt like a different cast member, but like it worked well for me is what I'm trying to say. Like I was not offended by it or anything.
Yeah, I wasn't either. The reason I ask is, do you think it was to serve any significance within the story, or do you think it was like a practical application? You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're like, oh, we're going to take this show on tour and we only have
the latter, definitely the latter.
Yeah, we don't have to pay for two people's hotel rooms when we can just have one person, So, but at the same time, you think of the writing and you think that, okay, so Act 1, we have Marquis de Lafayette, played by David Diggs. And then in the second act, basically Lafayette goes away. He's not relevant to the story anymore. I suppose that's because Lafayette was only relevant to the Revolution. And then the second act is more focused on the early days of America as a country.
And they explain it too. They say Lafayette, he goes back to France, is essentially what he says. He's like, I have to go back to France and help free my people. And then, so it's obvious that he's gone. Yeah. And then Jefferson comes back and he's like, hey, what I missed, essentially. And it's obvious that he's been gone and now he's back. So they did it well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just thought that was a fascinating thing to do. Pretty clever, actually, pretty practical.
In the first act, when Marquis de Lafayette was like, yo, guys, got to go away. I'm like, what? No, stay here.
No, don't go.
Stay here. This guy's awesome. But yeah, no, I have to assume like Leslie Odom Jr., David Diggs, I have to assume their phones have been just blowing up since this got released to Disney Plus. Like, I have to assume they're getting offered every movie.
Yeah.
People are just like, so you want to be in this movie? They're like, I guess, cool. Yeah.
The thing about Leslie Odom Jr. is I had heard of him before this, but I had only thought of him as a singer.
I had heard of both David Diggs and Leslie Odom Jr. before this. They're both,
okay.
They're both great in movies too.
Yeah, Odom had a reoccurring role in CSI Miami in like 2003.
My favorite show.
Yeah. He's been kind of in like shows on and off. And I guess he was Dr. Arbuthnot in Kenneth Branagh's 2017 adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express. So I remember that now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he needs to be in more movies though, because
absolutely.
Him and David Diggs, what talented gentlemen.
No, David Diggs is in Soul, the new Pixar movie coming out.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
so
that's important. That's important.
But so any last thoughts on Hamilton?
Yeah, I'll just close with saying that I really didn't want to buy into the hype with Hamilton. I have this I have this skepticism of like any teenage girl that's our age, anything that they love, which of course every teenage girl loves Hamilton.
Really?
That anything they love must be like just trite or dumb or just overrated, So but then I watched it. I remember just watching it and being like just humbled. I watched Hamilton and finished and I'm just humbled. I'm like, that was just too impressive. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So so normally this is the point where we do star ratings. I know we don't like, or you don't like to do a star rating on a non-movie. Neither do I really. I gave this a star rating. I've debated ever since to take it away, just because it's so much different than a movie,
Yeah, it's a different medium.
If I were to give a star rating, which I still currently do have actually, which I might take away, this is a 4.5 for me. Now, if you want to say a star rating, if you were to, go ahead. If you don't want to, just say whatever. I don't want to put you on the spot. That's not your thing.
if I did have to give it a star rating, I gave it on Letterboxd.com. I gave it a heart, which is what I give
non-movies.
What I give non-movies, like documentaries, stand-ups, taped plays, whatever, stuff that if I enjoy it, I'll give it a heart.
Yeah.
So I gave it that, obviously. If I had to give it a star rating, I would give it probably like 4 stars. But again,
it's so tough to tell, right? I mean, it's
hard to tell because it's like it's not like I look at Hamilton and then I look at another like 4-star movie that's an actual movie. To me, it's not like one's better than the other. It's just like they're just completely separate.
Yeah.
They're just...
You've talked me good. I'm taking the stars away right now.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't give star ratings to documentaries or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there we go. Hamilton. It gets the recommend though.
It gets the recommend 100%.
Okay. There we go. That's what we're after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to hit some recommendations before we get out of here?
Recommendations. Or
do you want to skip it this week? If it's not a movie.
I got one for you. Yeah.
Okay.
I got one for you.
So
I mentioned early on that I really love Thomas Jefferson as a historical figure. I think he's really interesting. Of course.
So you're recommending the Declaration of Independence. Nice.
You need to read the Declaration of Independence. I actually have a miniature version of the Declaration hanging in my room. I bought it in DC when I was 14. But yeah,
actually, you stole it. You were with Nick Cage.
Well, I like Nick Cage, and I just went underneath, and I just kind of,
yeah,
I went underneath the Library of Congress and just snatched it.
Absolutely.
Snatched it up. Side note, I saw the real Declaration in the Library of Congress. Well, not the Library of Congress, the National Archives. I saw the real Declaration. It's in the same room as the Constitution. And it's basically, the thing about that room is it's all dark because actually the exposure to light makes the ink on the paper fade faster.
Oh.
And you look at the Declaration and the Constitution today, and it's very, it's fading very quickly. Like you can barely see the ink. You have to look pretty closely. But definitely recommend that if you're ever in DC. Check
in 400 years, it'll just be a piece of paper. They're like, there were words on this.
There were words. They meant something once, But yeah.
What's your recommend?
So my recommend is The Art of Power by John Meacham, which is kind of the preeminent Thomas Jefferson biography.
Okay, so book.
Everything you can know about Jefferson in this book, The Art of Power by John Meacham. Check it out.
Cool.
And do you have a recommend, Will?
Yeah, it's kind of, maybe I'm cheating here, but since this is a musical, I figured I'd recommend something musical related. So I'm going to recommend like 10 musicals in one. I recently on Letterboxd, I'm starting a new series for lists. I'm doing top 10 genres based. So I recently, I think Friday, it might have been Friday as we're recording this on Sunday, I created my top 10 musicals of all time. So go check that out and then give all of those a watch. So that's my recommend.
All of them?
You have to watch all of them. Yes. No, kidding.
So are they musical movies? Are they like La La Land? Or are they like...
Yeah. It's
okay.
I kind of described it in my description of that list. I essentially was like, these are musical movies. How I didn't consider Hamilton in it because I don't consider this a musical because I need dialogue too, plus lyrics. Sure. And what was my other? I only did one animated because then that's just a whole other rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had and the songs also, like, I wouldn't consider, like, I also wrote in there, like, I don't consider Walk the Line or Ray a musical. Those are movies like about music or about someone who's in the industry of music. By the industry, I
Right.
go from the business.
Right.
But I don't consider those musicals either. Like a musical has songs that progresses the plot, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like Walk the Line and Ray, there's music because it's biopics about musicians. So inherently there has to be music.
Right. For it to be a musical, like, there's a suspension of disbelief when the songs come on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Go check that out. And I guess I'll just say, you can find me on Letterboxd, so you can see this list at Will Spalding. But Sam, where can I find you on Letterboxd?
You can find me at sjdierberger on letterboxd.com.
Awesome. And as
If
always,
you want to see any other lists, I don't know. I got nothing.
As always, we'll have that in the description. But yes, you can find us on Broadway soon. I'll be playing Hamilton, and Sam, you'll be playing who again? I don't remember.
I don't know. Maybe
Jefferson.
Jefferson and Marquis de Lafayette.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you can find us on Broadway singing Hamilton. But in case you can't fly to New York, you can find us at Those Film Nerds on Instagram and thosefilmnerds@gmail.com if you want to email in your thoughts of Hamilton or really anything else. Send us 2 actors if you'd like.
Yeah.
You can also find us at anchor.fm/thosefilmnerds for all of our episodes, or on any podcast platform.
Of course.
Or YouTube. But until next time, Sam.
Keep watching movies, people.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Have a great week, everyone.